Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much. Some more people are joining as I'm talking, so I'll just give very brief introductions to give everyone time to join. I want to thank everyone for joining this afternoon or this morning to some of you, and certainly it's this morning for Anne, our one of our guest panelists who's joining from Anchorage in Alaska. I think is it 10 a.m. for you, Anne? 9? Yep, 10 a.m. So
10
we
a.m.
thank Anne very much for joining. Um, we're very happy to have everyone here with us today. It's a really good turnout, and we're very much looking forward to an interesting, hopefully educational, informative webinar discussion. We want this very much to be an interactive session, so we'll leave plenty of time for questions and discussions. I believe that the chat is open and the Q&A is open. So as we go along, everyone should feel free to write in the chat, to write in the QA, and we will try and answer those either as we're going along and also towards the end we'll leave plenty of time. So thank you for that. Today's session will last roughly an hour, and we'll stick to that time. And today's session is all about the future of accessible wayfinding on campus. And in a nutshell, that's really about talking signage for colleges and university campuses, why that's important, why it can really help expand accessibility, promote independence, and make college life, make learning opportunities more accessible for everyone. So hopefully by the end of today, we'll have addressed those subjects and helped bring a little bit more clarity, I guess, to the category. Idan, yep, I believe it is being recorded. Yep. Okay. So moving on. Oh, here we go. Today's speakers. So we have myself, Darren Gladstone. I'm the US Operations Director for Right Here. I'm based just outside DC. We have Idan Meir, who's the co-founder and CEO of Right Here, who's also in the DC area. Chanel Matos, who is the Right Here community manager, and Chanel is in New York. And finally, Anne Lazenby, who is the Director of Disability Student Services at the University of Alaska in Anchorage. And we thank Anne very much for giving over time today and joining us. The agenda for today, we've done the introductions. We're shortly going to move on to Chanel is going to talk to us about really rethinking campus wayfinding, why accessibility is important, why it really does matter, and get into the details of that. Then we'll go into a kind of case study and discussion with Anne as to what they've done at the University of Alaska Anchorage campus, how that project was rolled out, and we'll talk about that in some detail. Then Idan will give us a brief overview of Right Here, the system, the technology, how it helps campuses, universities, and all kinds of organizations really make their spaces more accessible for everyone. Chanel will come back to talk about some shortcuts and some wins and some ways that people can really get started on the journey towards enhanced accessibility. And then we'll have QA session as I said before. And really the goal, as I touched on, is really to introduce a new approach to accessible signage, wayfinding, spatial orientation within college campus environments, and ultimately learn from Anne's experience at the University of Alaska. So moving on, Chanel, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So, my name is Chanel Matos, as Darren mentioned. Thank you for that introduction. And for full transparency here, I am completely blind. I cannot promise what my eyes are doing. I apologize if it's distracting, but that is the case. And so let's talk a little bit about accessibility on campus. And let's be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, is my campus right now as accessible as it could be? And is it accessible enough? And I'm pretty confident the majority of you, if not all of you, are going to say no to that answer. So what does that mean? accessibility in a campus setting. And why is that a challenge? Well, the reality is that you guys are serving hundreds of thousands of people, and maybe not necessarily all students. It's guests who come on a regular basis. It's people who are traveling and just coming through, or they're going to sporting events or theater events or dance events, or hopefully all the events, right? Um, and that looks like a lot of different kinds of people for a lot of different reasons. And that could be anything from just being really widely spread out. It could be the fact that there's a lot of visual signage. It could be the fact that they're just not familiar with the location at all. Maybe they're out of state, they're out of country, they've never been to a American campus in the first place. There's just so many reasons that people find it challenging to navigate a college campus, whether you're sighted or not, whether you are familiar with the location or not. Coming to a new, huge campus is intimidating. And I'm sure all of you have had that experience when your first day of college campus, or you're doing your college tours, and it just feels like you come up to this huge, insurmountable, like, behemoth of a place, and you're like, I'm supposed to figure out how to get around this. And just imagine trying to do that if you can't read the signs, if you can't see the paths, if you can't identify one building from the next, and you're trying to rush and meet deadlines, and you're trying to get to appointments, and you're trying to find the right person. How do you navigate that? So then we talk about, the gap. And that is the gap. The gap is the fact that there's this huge divide in how content is received, right? Everything is written down. You, as a sighted person, can walk through any space at any time, and you can see what's happening around you. You can see that there's a sign posted that classes been moved from this building to this building, or that you're now in wing A, whatever fancy name you have. And the problem is that someone like me who can't see, I'm never going to see any of that. I'm not going to know that information. I'm not going to be able to find wayfinding information readily. And then I have to try to stop someone who's already in a hurry, trying to get to their own class, and hope that they have the time to direct me in the direction I need to go. And that's not just for me as a visually impaired person. What if someone who's coming to visit your campus doesn't speak English as a first language, and maybe they're still struggling with trying to acclimate, or maybe they are a visiting professor or a visiting guest who is going to do a guest lecture, and they don't have the same understanding of the signs that someone who is more native to the English language would have. Then you think, okay, well, we got Braille. Well, that's true. You have Braille. But the reality is that less than 10% of low vision and blind people actually read it. And even of those people, the proficiency level in which people can read Braille is even lower. And then we have to find the Braille. First, we have to find the building. We have to find the sign. And I don't know about you, but it's kind of embarrassing to be among my peers, standing up beside a wall, groping it, petting walls, looking for signs, hoping that I might find the Braille sign. And by the time I did that, I can't imagine how much gross I've touched, because let's be honest, it's not very clean out there. No matter how much you try, it's just, people can be kind of gross. And I've now touched all of that, just trying to find a sign. And I've wasted a good 5-10 minutes that I could have been doing something more productive and actually trying to make my way to my next class or my next destination, whatever that may look like. And to be clear, I want you guys to all understand that less than 2% of blind and low vision people in the world are blind the way that you likely define blindness. Blindness is often considered something that's like, oh, well, they can see nothing. But the reality is, blind and low vision actually is a huge spectrum. It's a spectrum of people who can see little bits of things. Maybe they see things better with certain contrasts, or they see things where in certain lightings. And the problem is you're trying to accommodate all of those different needs. And how do you do that with a simple sign? Well, the reality is that there's an answer. The answer is audio signage, a sign that talks to you. And that's because the primary use of people is their smartphones. They're walking around with the technology right in their hands. They already have it. You don't have to supply it. It's there. They can just pick it up. It can be whatever language they need. It can be whatever information they need. It can be updated real time. And they have that information just like everyone else at the exact same time. And that's what makes audio signage a universal option versus the Braille signs. And I'm not saying by any means that Braille signage should be taken away. It is a effective solution for some people. And we obviously want effective communication for everyone, whatever that may look like. But we also want to make sure that the people who aren't being served by the Braille are still being welcomed to your campus. They are still being welcomed to your classes. They're still being told, hey, your voice matters here. There's a space for you here. So that's the importance here of that. Now, keeping all of that in mind, what does that look like? You know, I would say when we have talking signs available for everyone, that means people who aren't just visually impaired are able to access that, right? That is people with reading disabilities like dyslexia. That is people with neurodiversities like autism, or who have struggle with processing the written word in crowds or chaos, or when they're high anxiety. That is people who don't speak English as a first language. Like I said before, all of these people suddenly have access to the information. And be mindful of the fact that most of the signs that you guys have are likely visual. So that means campus tours, all visual, campus maps, all visual. So how do these people have that information? Well, the audio signage is that solution. So I would say, with that said, I think the next step is for you guys to actually hear what audio signage actually looks or sounds like in practice. What does that mean for you? Because I can tell you all day about how amazing audio signage would be and the practical uses of it, but I think maybe you should hear it for yourself. So Darren?
Thank you very much, Chanel. That was that was a great insight, great insights into the experiences that you may have had on campus and campus
Mm-hmm.
life, and the challenges that come with that. And you're right. Let's move on, and I'd like to invite Anne Lazenby to join us now. There you are. You're off mute now, Anne. Anne is Director of Disability Services at the University of Alaska in Anchorage, and Anne has known Right Here, and Right Here has known Anne for probably going on for about 3 years now, I think, Anne. Is that right?
I think that's about right.
That's about right. So Chanel, I'm describing some of the slides that I'm putting up as we go through it. The first slide I'm putting up is the introduction to case study, and there's a photo there which I'm putting up just because I love this photo. And I want to remind everyone, the photo, first of all, Chanel, is of the University of Alaska campus with the snow-capped mountains in the back, which is quite a stunning backdrop. I want to remind everyone that the Q&A is open and the chat is. And I'm going to set a challenge. If anyone on this call from any of your university and campuses come from a more picturesque, beautiful campus than the University of Alaska, write it in the comments, write it in the chat. challenge Anne. See who can beat Anne for most beautiful place to work every day. How's the snow, Anne, by the way? Is it still there?
It's still here and it's actually snowing as we speak.
Okay, there we go. So there you go. Feel free to write in the chat and comments, everyone. Uh, so Anne, we've got a number of slides here, but I want to kind of use this session more to to talk and be informal with you, for you to talk us through, I guess, the process. So the first area we want to talk about is really what you did, the where the system is put on, what your motivations were around that, what the goals were. Describe the campus, describe what you did.
Okay. Yeah, and I was kind of taking some notes while Chanel was talking, and it really was, we were really motivated by the blind and low vision community to put in this system. The now director of the Alaska Center for the Blind, Nate Kyle, was taking classes back in 2018, and he said that getting around our campus was one of the greatest challenges in his college experience, because there was no direction. He had to use all of his skills in listening and patience and focus and listening for heating vent sounds and where people's voices were coming from to try and figure out where he was on campus and which way he had to go. And just like Chanel was saying, trying to find somebody who maybe could help him from one location on campus to another. And, from that picture, we often give direction to sighted people based on those mountains. If you go towards the mountains, but that's not going to help if you can't see them. So, so that was a lot of our motivation to put this in place. And then the corridor that we decided to start with is the longest section of campus that you can walk without going outside, which is about a half a mile. So our campus runs east to west about a mile. So our corridor is a half a mile that we put the beacons in. And the list, those key destinations, are the two, Rasmussen Hall and the library are the two end points and where most students traverse the campus.
Got you. And Anne mentioned there, that's where we put the beacons. We haven't spoken about the right here system yet. Dan is going to speak about that. We're going to explain what the beacons are. We're going to explain how the system works, and we'll leave Dan to reveal all. But the reality is, it's a system which really will helps the students move around. And exactly as Anne says, there is this core corridor. People have to stay indoors quite a lot of the time. Even in spring or spring in other places, it's still snowing in Alaska. So it's about helping people moving around the campus.
And also being aware of any hazards on the way. There's one section of our corridor where the hallway splits in two, and there's quite a large staircase. And there's absolutely no way for anybody to know that there's stairs there. So.
Absolutely. I remember that during the installation, that was kind of a sharp pain point that needed to be resolved through the content that we set up. So as we can see here, Chanel, I'm showing an image with the smartphone with the Right Here app open, with some content there, and then there's some text on the slide. So Anne, we've got real-time information which is being delivered to students, directing students to and from the buildings, as you say. I want really to talk about what you did with the community, how you worked with your students, the process of involving maybe visually impaired students or other students in the process of refining the installation, making sure that the content being delivered was appropriate and meeting the needs of students. Because there's a quote on screen here on this slide where it's taken from your website, where you talk about the installation, and you talk about, we're showing the community that we care about accessibility and that people from all walks of life and abilities can get around on our campus. We want people to feel like they belong. Talk to us about belonging and inclusion.
Yeah, again, it wasn't just about the blind and low vision community, even though they were our driver. It was asking students where they were running into problems when they were trying to get across campus. our signage on campus is very limited. There's no maps, except for the ones that we have put up. And just really interviewing them, walking across campus with them and talking about those places like the stairway that kind of comes up out of nowhere, where directions can get pretty wonky, trying to find offices down offshoot hallways. So we really brought in students from all different kinds of disabilities to figure out how we can make their life easier getting around on campus.
Yeah. And I think that ties in perfectly to our next slide, which again is part of your underlying principles, which is about being a campus for everyone. It's making sure that people who come and we know that the transition from high school to campus life can be challenging for people. Moving away from home can be challenging for people. If I think all the way back to my undergraduate degree, my first, I don't know if you in Scotland where I did my undergraduate degree, it's called Freshers Week. It's the week before term starts, where you go along and meet the clubs and have a couple of beers. And I think after a couple of beers of Scottish beer, I couldn't find my way around campus at all. So talk again, the the idea that the campus should be for everyone, the idea that you understand the challenges that students may find when they arrive, and how you can put in place technology which can mitigate those
Yeah,
issues.
absolutely. And really, if you walk around any college campus right now, most students all have mobile phones that they can use to access technology to help with directions. The Anchorage campus is very spread out. We're hoping to expand right here over to our dorms because they're in a separate part. You have to cross a major street to get to the main campus from our dorms. So that's something in our future to help get students from the dorms to the main campus. And we also have a really big international student population that may not read English very well, but they can listen to the auditory information and be able to find their way across campus.
Yeah, amazing. You mentioned earlier about involving the wider community, and you mentioned Nate. And as AMS, I've got a quote here from Nate, who's the executive director at the Alaska Center for the Blind Vision Impaired. And Nate had said in some of the materials that you guys have released over the last few months that he sees it as this technology offering autonomy and independence, and really as a game changer for current and prospective blind students because they're looking for colleges that have greater accessibility. And I absolutely, you should be commended for bringing the community in, because there's, delivering solutions without involving the community means you're often, as an organization, we're not understanding the real needs. And I think that approach that you did of bringing the community in at all stages of this as a consultative process has been very, very well received by people like Nate and beyond, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's very important to empower the students to help us improve the campus life.
Yeah, absolutely. So summing up on the project, and the great thing for our clients right here is projects never start and end, they're ongoing, because our system is a living, breathing system which is delivering accessibility, whether that's in at the University of Alaska or the 2,500 other locations that use our solution around the world. That it's we take those lessons on implementation and then we iterate, and we're always looking to improve. So some of the key insights from your installation, Anne, and your learnings over the time. Chanel, on screen, we've got a slide here. We're talking about involving the students, identifying the routes that are most relevant, focusing on those navigation challenges you mentioned, and the stairs and those points, and supporting independence. How would you kind of sum up the lessons that you've learned over the time?
I think if you try and do it without input, then you really miss out on other people's perspectives. Like being sighted, I can navigate some crazy interchanging intersection of hallways and I don't think about the problems then when students get to those intersections. And so having them there and having them using the signage or talking me through their experience so that I can add their words to the navigation, the audio navigation that's happening. So I think that's super important.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, for sharing the background to the project and everything that's gone with it. We're going to move on a little to Dan and talking about right here. So thank you to Anne. Moving on, before I introduce you, Dan, I'm going to share a video. Unfortunately, we don't have a video of right here in operation at the University of Alaska. That's something that's on our list of things to do. So we'll hopefully be working with Anne to get that done. But I'm going to share a video of right here in action at a sports stadium in Houston, the Shell Energy Stadium. I'm using this one because it also shows a large volume traffic location where our system is there to help people move around, people who may be blind visually impaired, also people with other orientation challenges, people with language barriers, all of the issues that Anne outlined are kind of covered in this project. So I'm going to show this. Dan, if you can give me a thumbs up that the sound is coming through, and then
Shell Energy Gate Entrance. Welcome to Shell Energy Stadium, home of the Houston Dynamo and the Houston Dash.
Today we're here at Shell Energy Stadium, installing a pioneering technology that allows people who are blind or low vision to fully realize their full potential and make spaces, amazing spaces like this, accessible for everyone. Hello, I'm Terry Vaughn, Vice President of Operations and Sales for the Lighthouse of Houston. We're partnered with Right Here, and they have beacons and markers that allow us to help orient people in the space, whether they are blind, low vision, maybe even they just speak a different language or have orientation challenges.
It's a sweet app. I'm loving it. We just follow the direction that our phone will read out to us. The beacons are reading to where the restrooms are on our left and right side, or the elevators to go up to a certain suite level, and stairs, and our seat locations.
Welcome to the President's Concourse and the entrance to the Jameson Club. Directly in front of you to the left and right are doors leading to the Jameson Club entrance. This concourse will lead you to field level sections 123 to 129, sections 114 to 130.
We're here programming markers with the Right Here technology. The exit through Shell Energy Gate to the sidewalk is to the left and right of the sign. Period. Thank you for attending today's event. And then we can pull out the phone and the app. And just like that, we're accessible.
And I want the Dynamo here in Houston. I want to give them a big thumbs up from getting right here into the stadium, so we can come to their stadium and just be part of their family and their sport and just have fun.
The stadium and the Dynamo have been instrumental in helping get us set up here and believing in the mission that we have here at the Lighthouse of Houston, which is alive without limits for people who are blind or low vision. And we just are so excited to be bringing this to life. And what better stage than here at Shell Energy Stadium, the home of the Houston Dynamo and the Houston Dash.
I'm now going to invite Idan, the Right Here CEO and co-founder, to talk a little bit about the company's mission and some interesting background on our technology, what it does, how it benefits people. Idan.
Absolutely. Thank you, Darren. I'm very excited. I must share it's the first, just for everyone to know, there's a lot of people here with us today, and it's our first higher education webinar. So I was waiting for this one. I think there's a lot of need there and a lot of I think it's very important for this context. And yeah, while this video we just watched wasn't specifically for higher ed, we all know that probably most campuses, if not all of them, have some sports venues as well. So in a way, it is not too far. Um, just as it's currently shown on the screen, our mission is making the world more accessible one space at a time. It is, to me, sometimes when I pause and think about this, it's 2026. We all know that there are Braille signs everywhere we go, not just in the campuses, but really everywhere we go, from small restaurants to gyms to museums to stadiums to wherever that is. But just knowing the fact that Chanel kind of covered at the beginning, of how many actually read Braille, how many of those actually finding those signs easily, how many of those who find the signs actually want to touch them and go further and further. We believe it's time for those signs to speak up, to talk, to provide, to be in audio. When you think about captions, we have captions here in the Zoom for those who want to open it up. Captions are basically a visual representation of the audio, right? They're letters, words, visual representation of the audio. What we're doing it right here is an audio representation of the visual, but when it comes to signage. Um, and how it works, I mean, I'll keep it really high level. I know there's some technical questions in the chat, and that's great. Maybe we can leave it for the Q&A at the end, right, Darren? But on a high level, we have three main components of the system. One is a free app, Android and iPhone. Um, it's a free app, but it's also completely private. We've all learned that if it's a free app, you probably do something with the data. So no, we don't. There's no sign in. We don't ask your name, your email, your Facebook, or what's not. It's completely anonymous. The app is in 35 different languages, and it can be running in completely flight mode, so no connections whatsoever to the facilities, networks, or infrastructure from that standpoint. The second component is our beacons and markers. Those are the accessibility spot that we place around the facilities, tiny sensors, beacon sensors of Bluetooth, or our markers, which are, think of them as a QR code on steroids, but basically visual, that can be identified by the camera. Again, without getting too deep, those are basically the talking signs that we place around that allows our users to pick it up from their phone soon from their smart glasses later this year or beginning of next year. We're planning to bring that whole experience through the smart glasses as well. And the third component is an online dashboard, which allows us in the facility to basically control, edit, and manage all the audio descriptions. There were questions there about maintaining those descriptions. Matter of fact, it's much easier to maintain and change the content online rather than and these with this talking signs and the actual visual sign that requires redesign, printing, and actual physical hanging there. Same beacons, same markers that are at the facility can be changed, reprogrammed with the content around them. So that's kind of in a high level of how it works. The idea, as currently shown on the screen, without reading it too much, is improve accessibility, improve the belonging, I would say, for all students or all visitors. If there's one word, that I'd like you all to get out of this webinar today is simplicity. It is very much simple. It's easy. It's not an indoor navigation where we need to know turn by turn exactly how to get to this up and to the left. No, we're not going to do that. It's an orientation solution. It's much like the signage that you already have there, or even the Braille signs that you already have there, but this time they actually speak. So setting it up is quick, is simple, and as my whole team knows, we're very much determined to make it a no-brainer decision from all aspects. Yeah, a little bit about us. We've been doing that for about 8 years now, 4 years specifically in the US, in over 2,500 locations worldwide. As far as we know, it's the most adopted audio format signage in the world. We've been doing that in almost all sectors right now. Again, from corporate facilities like Microsoft or Schneider Electric, all the way to hospitals, parks. We've done, universities and colleges in other places in the world. Here in the U.S., Alaska is one example, and we're in conversations with others as well right now. We really do, as been shown in the mission, focusing on making one place at a time with a bigger vision. And I truly believe that not too far from now, maybe it'll take 2 years, 3 years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, but in a not too far time in the future, expecting to have those signs in an audio forward would become obvious, because the technology is definitely there. The simplicity is definitely there. The need is definitely there. And I'm very excited about the partners. We've already been able to join our movement, and Chanel is leading that movement beautifully. So Chanel, I'm so glad about the beginning of your words today. So that's a little bit about us, right, Darren? I think is there another slide from me, or
No, you're finished. We're bringing Chanel back in. She's much
she's
more
much more
engaging
interesting
than
than
you are.
me.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead,
And our,
Chanel.
and our
Guys,
accent is
thank
easier to
you.
understand.
Oh yeah.
Than,
Thank you so much.
both of ours.
Well, both of us for sure.
Both of us, absolutely. Chanel,
All right,
our
well,
American colleague, come back in. We
all
need
right, everyone.
saving.
Thank you so much. So I want to say, okay, what would, if you decided to do something like this, how would that look for you? In my perfect world, every place, every space, from here, undersea, up to the moon, if I can go, if I can physically end up in that space, it would be accessible and I'd be able to navigate it independently. But I do recognize you have to start somewhere. So where do you start? And the starting point is in your most common places. That is your cafeterias, your administration buildings, your health center, your disability centers, your most traveled routes, uh, those kinds of places, your security points, the points where if your average everyday student needs to be able to get there. And then you want to consider the point, where's your highest traffic uh, visitor space? Obviously, your administration's office is going to be one of your highest, but maybe that's your stadium. Maybe it's your theater. Maybe it's your dance hall. Whatever it is, whatever your claim to fame for your campus is, we know we all have one. You want to make sure that space is as welcoming to your students, but also your visitors as possible. So those would be the places I would recommend you begin with. And of course, once you have it started, you can build on it. It is a building process. Accessibility is a ever evolving space. It's not something you just do once and all of a sudden everything's accessible forever and ever. We know that. So the next thing I would say is, how do you do it? Well, we invite you to come and join us, to pilot programs, to test things out, start seeing what things work in your space. Making one space in your space accessible at a time makes a difference. Even one space matters, whether it's just the bathrooms, just the administrative office. Do what you can for accessibility, and I promise people will care. And with that, before we go, I want to leave you with two kind of thoughts. First is, how many of your staff, much less your students, can identify all of the emergency safety exits and where the fire extinguishers are right now? That's without any kind of accessibility. How many can do that? What if I told you, in my workplace, I know where every single one of them is? And I do that because I have access to something like right here. In fact, I actually have right here. So for me, I'm able to, as I'm learning the space, as I'm walking from one hallway to one building, it's automatically giving that information as I'm passing it. I know in an emergency exactly what to do because I have been told where things are and how to get there. And the last thought I will give you, if you're wondering, if you're on the fence of like, do I really need this? I want you to picture your star student right now, or your star staff member, or both. And maybe that person secretly, because not everybody discloses, maybe they secretly have a reading disability. They struggle with dyslexia, or they struggle with visual comprehension, and maybe they're not getting the grades they need. So it's struggling to get them to compete competitively because they have to keep their grades up. Maybe their mom is visually impaired or blind and struggles to come visit them, and that's a point of friction for them. Maybe their dad doesn't speak English as a first language, and that's a point of friction for them, because we know all those outside influences matter in the success of a student. So when you have something like right here, you have safety, you have access, and all of those barriers that I just mentioned, every single one of them is addressed and taken care of. And those aren't even all of the barriers. Those are just a few barriers I mentioned for one student, one potential family that could be addressed so that you can continue finding a way of being inclusive, accessible, and including every single person from the top to the bottom in your space.
Thank you, Chanel. Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much for
welcome.
that. I think that's a perfect way to pull this to a conclusion with those remarks. It really is about making spaces more accessible. It really is about testing things out. It really is about taking steps. There's no 100% to accessibility. It's a continuum, a spectrum whereby if we can make places more accessible, a little bit more accessible tomorrow than they are today, then that's progress, and that progress continues. And we see with technology that technology is moving so quickly that the opportunity to make progress this week, this month, next year will continue to move forward. So I guess that underpins everything we do. We do it right here. Is the opportunity to make places a little bit better tomorrow than they are today. So thank you to all of our panelists. We're going to pause there, and I know that people have been writing in the Q&A, which Idan has been answering. We're more than happy to take questions from attendees today. If people want to raise their hand or write more in the Q&A, we can unmute people if anyone wants to ask their question. We also would like to invite everyone to submit their details for a free talking signage sample kit. William is just going to share in the chat with everyone because he has the option to do that. Unfortunately, I don't. William, if you can share that link with everyone so that anyone who wants to sign up for a free sample kit can do that, and we'll send that out, and we'll be in contact with people to explain how simple it is to set that up and test and really get a feel for how you can use the Right Here system on your campus without any commitment whatsoever. So William can share that, and if anyone misses that, we'll also be emailing that out so that everyone who's attending today will get a copy of this presentation. There we go. William has shared that link. So everyone can feel free to click on that link and submit their details, and then they will receive a free welcome kit in the post.
Darren, we have a hand raised already and 2 questions in the queue. Do you want to, maybe we'll let Farah first and then we'll go to the chat, or either way?
So in the Q&A, we have a couple of questions. Idan, if you'd like to, if the company is sold or shut down, does the hardware software remain functional? And what options do organizations have to maintain or support the system independently?
So first of all, that's a very valid question. I think that's a good question to basically anything you procure there, right? I would say this: the beacons theoretically can be reconfigured to other uses. Although there's not a lot of beacons that are going to be in most of our projects. That's actually the small amount. Most of it is the markers that we place around. And unfortunately, there's nothing else you can do with the markers other than using our technology. It's a proprietary technology we've developed. So I mean, I think from that standpoint, no, there's nothing else you can do. The data itself, everything that you put in is yours from the get-go. So all the information, the content we're putting into the system is completely yours. So you have the ability to download it and keep it for other services, solutions, or what's not. But other than that, that's I guess my best answer to this. I hope that answer.
Yeah, I would just add to that,
Yeah.
Nicholas. Thank you for the question. We're not going anywhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There are hundreds of thousands of buildings, sports stadiums, campuses, Joe's Pizzas, the list goes on and on. We're not going anywhere. There's a lot of
And
accessibility to make it happen.
like I said, I want everything accessible from under the sea up to the moon, and that's a tall order. So I'm putting these men to work. They're not allowed to go anywhere yet.
Yeah. And it isn't, in my view, a bit, it could be expected. One of the reasons, maybe one sentence on that, one of the reasons we have so many Braille signs around us is the ADA. And under the ADA, the idea is to allow effective communications. That's just another form of providing that. And from that standpoint, it's actually expected, to see more of those around than less. But thank you for this question, Nicolas. So there's another one there. I
There's
think that
another
William
question
is
from
actually writing an answer
Rob. There's
there.
a question from Rob, and William is typing an answer, so we'll
Thank
leave
you,
that
William.
one. Farah has raised her hand. William, can you unmute Farah? If you're able to unmute Farah so that I can ask the
I should be
question.
able to, yes. Just give me a second.
Okay, just a second. Let's see.
I did not mean to take over hosting duties. Yes.
Yes, Farah, you're mute. You can unmute yourself and we'll hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. First of all, this is like super exciting. I am visually impaired. I also work as a I have my own little campus over here in Florida, and this is super exciting because this is always the dream to get it accessible. But I guess from the realistic components of working in higher ed for a long time, cost effectively, how does it work that way? Because everything here, we could have like the best technology, but if we cannot get a buy-in from the university financially, that is where we lose opportunities, unfortunately.
So first of all, it's a great question, Farah. And Anne, I apologize, but the snow in Alaska is being replaced by the sunshine in Florida. So we now have a new favorite campus.
I mean, I cannot tell you how beautiful Jupiter is because I have a beautiful small campus, and I consider ADA signage, although I could read Braille, I'm one of that rare 10%. I have to find it. And so I could relate to Chanel. And I do have some functional vision. I'm lucky they're there. But I've been working on ADA, and I find that ADA compliance is almost the bare minimum. And like, it's the bare minimum. So this is almost the bare minimum is exactly that. It just meet the criteria for the ADA, but it doesn't meet the access team. So
So when it comes to cost, we scope every project, and we'd really welcome if you get in touch with us after, and we can set up a call to discuss that. But to give you, we're not talking here of tens of thousands of dollars. Far from it. The numbers will be significantly lower than that. And for small campus, you're talking in four figures, certainly not five figures. But we can
just like Chanel, I'm trying to take over the world. I need the bigger campus too. This is a satellite campus of a very big campus over in Boca. And my plan is like, it's usually easier for me to get stuff in the smaller campus, but it is a plan to get the bigger campus.
Absolutely. And I will say also to bear in mind when you're thinking about cost, a part of this is also in how you design the accessibility and what your exact project needs are going to be, because you're thinking about markers versus beacons, and so it's all going to be relative to your specific project, which is why Darren's sort of like, we just kind of need to talk to you and figure out what you specifically need before we can really truly give you an honest answer.
Perfect. I'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Farah. Thank you for your question. Robert's also asked a question, which I see William is typing an answer, so I'll leave that one. Latrice has asked a question. Besides the wonderful information you shared, we are also challenged with natural disasters such as hurricanes in Florida, and ensuring that our students stay alert and know where to go safely and timely. Any suggestions? Idan, would you like to answer that?
Well, first of all, this is a great point, and you know that Darren over the past at least 2-3 years has kind of developed more and more and more interest in accessibility under emergency situations, right? I guess first of all, just like anything else in accessibility, it's about making progress. It's not about perfection. It's very much about making progress, and I think. If we think about just the exit signs, it's simple as that, right? When I visit anywhere I visit, there are these exit signs. I know that in case of I know how to evacuate. Just ensuring those signs in an audio format in multiple languages, I think that's a good first step, right? It's a first good step to the right direction. We're also, like we've just been asked about it again today, if there could be more real-time alerts, if that's what you're referring there, Latrice, specifically. Currently, there are no real-time alerts in case of. Part of the reason is that we want to keep the system not connected to the internet, talking about emergency proof. So we don't want to rely on anything really, aside of maybe the battery of the user. That's the only thing we had to rely on. But it's a good point, and there's different ways we're thinking about how to address it further. But as of now, uh, it is just it's a static information which can again be reprogrammed. So during a certain week or so, it could be mentioned there, but it's not real time to that point. So
What I'd like to add to that, though, is, for example, you often know, okay, hurricane, we're under hurricane warning, we're under tornado warning. What you can do, because these are static and they are updatable, you can have whoever your administrative person is in charge of updating these beacons or whatever you have installed at the moment in your space. You can update it to say, be aware that we have XYZ alert right now in case of do this. And then every time someone with the system walks in, they're hearing that in addition to whatever else, whatever other orientation, navigation information you currently have programmed to the beacon. And that's kind of the short-term solution I would recommend.
yeah, and this probably is a severe weather shelter area sign in the campus, right? It might have Braille on it or not, but being able to know again where exactly is it from a further distance in audio is another step forward, and we can look again specifically about the campus and the needs there. But um, progress over perfection, I guess that's my shortest answer to this. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I've put up on screen for everyone. For those who would like more information, and hopefully a lot of you would like more information on how our system may apply to your specific campus or part of your campus, a pilot study, or just getting more information or chatting to us one-to-one on your specific accessibility requirements, you can email support@right-here.com. And that email will come directly to Dan, myself, Chanel, Will, and other members of the team. And one of us will get back to you very quickly to share information, to set up a call, and to really discuss with you how we can help.
Before we wrap, and anything else that you wanted to add, maybe that we didn't ask you about that you feel that we may be important to colleagues kind of in the industry to.
Well, I saw a lot of the questions about like campus construction because that seems to always be happening. And we have construction happening on our campus, and I love the interface to be able to update the messaging. So I can say this entrance will be closed for the next 2 months, and here's where the other entrances are. We also use one where our main library entrance is not open on the weekends, and so on that beacon it says that don't come in this door on the weekends. So yeah, I love that it's immediate and I can put as much detail or as little detail as I want.
Thank you. And you're really a pioneer, right? We've learned a lot from this project. And again, if there's that word I want to repeat, as I said earlier, we're very much obsessed with making it simple, easy, intuitive. It's signage. It's not rocket science. It's just signage, and we're just bringing them up in audio. So from construction to maintenance to yeah. Oh, another question. Not sure if this was answered. Does this have a location sharing feature? Yes, Darren, do you want to answer that? Should I answer?
You go.
Yeah, we do. There is. It's actually asking for your location permission as you download the app. We've recently, just last week, we've released a new version of the app with a lot of new good stuff, and we took up took off a little bit of the old stuff, but we're hearing a lot of feedback regarding the outdoors services. So a lot more is coming very soon. Um, one of the, you know, privilege I feel like that we have being here so long again, we're almost 10 years with this, is that we've been able to build a very strong community that really is talking to us and sharing with us what's needed and what's not, and it's a privilege. Um, I see we're
Well,
almost on time. Again, we have another 5 minutes for everyone's questions and thoughts, but I do want to iterate on the simplicity. So the first step is just talking to us. I would love to better understand your needs, specific needs, and layout. Would love to send you through this form that William earlier shared in the chat. A few of those markers to try it out, no commitments whatsoever. We'll send it to you, we'll ship it to you in the mail. You'll open it up and you can just play with it a little bit. And I thank you for joining today, Darren.
yeah, you need to stop talking, Dan. This is a group of university professionals. They're about to go on their 2 month spring break, I think. Is that how long do you get, Anne? How long is spring break in the university world?
It's 1 week for us, and it was last week.
1 week.
So we got
Okay.
I take it back
spring
then.
break, but no actual spring since it's still on.
I take it back. I apologize to everyone on the call. I hope you enjoy your 1 week. Dan, sorry.
Gary's
Wishful
asking,
thinking.
is there a URL I can go to get more info? I was late coming in. Sure, Gail. It's just on the screen right now. www.write-here.com.
And
Yeah.
our email address is on screen as well. So Gail, feel free to email us. We'll be sending out a copy of the full webinar so that you'll be able to listen to all the parts that you missed.
I do want to say, in spirit of simplicity, we have blind and visually impaired people who help in certain locations actually set up and install this stuff. So if we can do it as a community, if we are comfortable with the technology and it's accessible enough for us, then there really is no reason you can't do it.
Wonderful.
Well, let's finish on that. Nothing else to say. Thank you to Idan. Thank you to Chanel. Thank you to William. Thank you so much to Anne for giving of her time. Thank you to all of you who attended today. We know it's a busy time. We hope to hear from you. We know that some people have already submitted their details, so we'll definitely be in touch with all of you, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye,
much.
everyone.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you all.